Urgent. New evidence has come to light and could change everything in Formula One. The FIA has revealed key information that points to alleged internal sabotage within the McLaren team. And the victims would be none other than Oscar Piastri and Lando Norris, after the scandalous Qatar Grand Prix 2025. Strategic error? Negligence? Or deliberate sabotage? Stay, because this is just beginning. The 2025 Qatar Grand Prix will go down in history as one of the most puzzling and controversial episodes of the season. What was initially just another race on the calendar became the turning point of the championship due to an inexplicable strategic decision made from the McLaren wall. Oscar Piastri was comfortably leading the race and Lando Norris maintained a solid third position. McLaren was in complete control of the weekend, with a competitive car on a circuit that favored its aerodynamic setup. On lap 7, a minor incident caused the safety car to come out. It was at that moment where all the teams, without exception, reacted quickly. Red Bull immediately called Max Verstappen, Ferrari called Leclerc and Sainz, Mercedes called George Russell, and even mid-grid teams like Haas and Alpine recognized the strategic opportunity that was presented, a practically free pit stop. The FIA had imposed a special rule for this event, in which no tire could last more than 25 laps, forcing at least 2 stops during the race. Taking advantage of the early neutralization was, therefore, the most logical move for everyone. Everyone understood it except McLaren. The team decided to keep both drivers, Piastri and Norris, on the track, ignoring one of the most fundamental unwritten rules of modern Formula One strategy. Take advantage of any safety car to make a stop without losing real time on the track. The official reasoning, later offered by team manager Andrea Stella, was that they did not expect the other teams to make such a stop so soon and believed that maintaining track position would allow them to have more strategic options in the second half of the race. Stella spoke of a cognitive bias that affected the team and led them to underestimate the situation. They bet that the majority would not stop and they failed miserably. The team not only lost points, he lost trust and credibility and opened the door to a wave of suspicions and rumors that point to possible internal sabotage. But even leaving aside any conspiracy theories, the reality is clear. McLaren made one of the most costly and difficult to justify strategic mistakes of the entire hybrid era. With the perfect window of opportunity before them, they chose to ignore it. After the strategic mistake made in Qatar, what began as a sporting criticism quickly evolved into much more delicate terrain: suspicions of internal sabotage within McLaren. The theory did not arise solely from outraged fans, but began to gain strength when various analysts and specialized media began to notice strange patterns and a succession of decisions that, together, seemed to systematically harm Oscar Piastri. The trigger was the team's silence. Instead of offering a forceful defense of his decisions or firmly denying the accusations, McLaren opted for vague and evasive responses. Andrea Stella admitted that the decision not to stop in the pits was significantly penalizing, but did not explain why both drivers were equally harmed, if theoretically the error was a general perception. This ambiguity fueled the narrative that the damage may have been intentional or, at the very least, favoring one of the pilots to the detriment of the other. The FIA, for its part, maintains an official position of neutrality, but its actions indicate that it is prepared to go to the ultimate consequences if any structural irregularity is confirmed. In the worst case, retroactive sanctions, financial fines, loss of points, or even temporary exclusion from the championship could be applied. Although for now these are extreme possibilities, the mere fact that they are considered within possible scenarios speaks to the magnitude of the problem. This environment of technical suspicion and constant oversight has become a key element of McLaren's present and immediate future. Every decision, every technical modification, and every strategy is now being evaluated not only by its impact on the track, but by how it stands up to the scrutiny of the regulations and the FIA technical delegates. And that, in modern Formula One, is a burden that very few teams manage to bear without consequences. The statements after the Qatar Grand Prix revealed much more than what was said in words. The undisguised emotions, the awkward silences, the gestures of frustration, and the evasive responses were clear symptoms that McLaren was not only facing a technical or strategic crisis, but also an internal one. The atmosphere within the team was fractured, and the relationship between drivers, engineers, and management was beginning to show obvious signs of deterioration. Oscar Piastri was the first to appear before the press. His attitude was distant, measured, but full of tension. Usually analytical and calm in his statements, this time he was visibly affected. At several moments he was speechless, something unusual for him. He described the race as pretty painful, And when asked if this loss outweighed the frustration of the disqualification in Las Vegas, he didn't hesitate to say yes. It was direct, but it contained obvious emotional charge. Avoiding direct accusations against the team seemed like a deliberate strategy, but Piastri's body language conveyed a parallel message. His closed body posture, low tone of voice, evasive gaze and long silences hinted at a sense of professional betrayal. When questioned about the sabotage rumors, he simply called them baseless speculation, although he did so without any conviction. Paddock analysts and nonverbal communication specialists agreed that his attitude was more revealing than his words. On the other side, Lando Norris adopted a diametrically opposite position. His attitude was much more controlled, almost corporate. Although during the race he was heard on the radio questioning the decision not to have stopped during the safety car, directly asking his engineer Will Joseph why they had not stopped when everyone else did. In post-race interviews he softened his speech. He said he has no regrets about the strategy and that there is nothing to change for Abu Dhabi. But the media noticed a subtle but important difference. His tone of voice lacked the usual enthusiasm and his speech, although measured, seemed like an effort not to escalate the situation. The differences in the reactions of both pilots further fueled theories about possible internal favoritism. Although McLaren denied any type of preference, the outside perception was different. The contrast between Piastri's hopelessness and Norris's caution suggested not only individual discontent, but a deeper division within the team. Several analysts began to talk about a double garage, not only physical but also philosophical, where strategies, information flows and priorities could have been separated for a long time. Andrea Stella, as team leader, had the difficult task of doing damage control. In his multiple appearances before the media, he adopted an attitude that mixed self-criticism with institutional restraint. He openly admitted that the decision not to pit the drivers was significantly penalizing, and that Oscar Piastri was clearly in control of the race and deserved to win it. Those words, although seen as an attempt at public reconciliation with the Australian pilot, were also interpreted as an indirect recognition of responsibility for the strategic failure. Stella went further and spoke of cognitive biases within the team. He said they had underestimated the probability of all teams pitting during the safety car, and that affected their decision-making. It also promised a very thorough, internal review of its strategic processes. But these explanations, although technically sound, were not enough to calm the waters. In the extreme pressure environment of Formula One, the perception of favoritism or incompetence can be as lethal as the evidence itself. But beyond the rumors, the immediate impact focuses on the last race of the year in Abu Dhabi. The Yas Marina route, the scene of the championship, is not only a technical challenge, but also a psychological one. There it will be decided not only who wins the title, but also which team manages to survive one of the most turbulent seasons of the hybrid era intact. According to leaked internal simulations and predictions from technical experts, McLaren would arrive in Abu Dhabi with a slight advantage in pure performance. Its car, the MCL39, has shown especially effective performance on circuits with fast curves combined with high-speed sections, characteristics that also define the Emirati layout. However, that technical advantage could be neutralized by the human factor. Internal tensions, loss of trust between drivers and engineers, and constant pressure from the media and the FIA. The pessimistic scenario, however, paints a much bleaker picture. Internal tensions could escalate to the point of compromising communication between garages. If the team makes conservative decisions for fear of repeating the Qatar disaster, or if team orders limit one driver in favor of the other, Red Bull and Max Verstappen will be ready to capitalize on any tactical fracture. With Verstappen's experience in maximum pressure contexts, a mistake by McLaren could cost them the entire championship. Abu Dhabi, then, is not only a sports final. It is an integrity test for McLaren. The race will not be won only on the track, but in internal management, in decision-making under pressure, and in the ability to maintain unity in an increasingly hostile environment. The championship is at stake, but so is the reputation of a team that seemed to have found its way to the top, and that now finds itself at the most critical crossroads in recent years. Do you think there was deliberate sabotage towards Oscar Piastri in Qatar? Was it really a poorly executed strategic error, or are there deeper interests at play? Are you confident McLaren can redeem itself in Abu Dhabi, or do you see the team crumbling under pressure? Can Max Verstappen take advantage of this chaos to win the crown again? Let me know in the comments what you think about all this.